I torment and taunt somebody all the time. I am forever you coming to our show? Are you going to be at our show? Because I am always like 10 minutes or so early. And I just now looked up and didn't know the time because someone says, "You're going to do the show maybe?" Well, happy Friday, April 18th. It's me, Chris Brogan, and your co-host, Kerry O'Shea Gorgon. Hey, Kerry, how you doing? How's everything going for you today? What's the news?
This is what happens when you join at the last second. I don't care for it, I must say. No, everything's cool. I feel like I would like to get a little more use out of the fun April Fool's opener that Dan Gorgon made. So we should play that one. That was a cool one.
I think it's only an April Fool closer, which is why I have it set and ready to go for the end of our show. I don't think he made two of them. So if he didn't, then I've got one ready for you to go. Somebody got a haircut and a shave. Yeah, well, the haircut was planned. The shave was an accident.
So we're growing it out.
We are. we're growing it out. So I have occasionally, in the goal of play for time, we always say that we're trying to find ways to stay engaged as, years go on in our lives. We have, would you look at that? Leslie came. Hi, Leslie. We have fun today because Kerry and I went to a place that we had never been to, in English called The Point. Everyone else calls it El Punto. It is in Salem, Massachusetts, which we go to plenty for other things, usually the witch side of town. And we found a place called The Point. And I don't know, what did you think when I said to you, hey, let's go try this out? You're always up for anything, but when you finally laid eyes on it, what was your thought?
Well, having been to Montreal in December, I was very much reminded of it because it looked like a sort of planned, intentional art display, which was cool. Like I'm used to seeing street art, which is, it's mostly tagging. Every once in a while, you'll see a really cool piece of art kind of on its own. But this was like 3 city blocks intentionally laid out for artists from around the world to showcase their art, like mural artists specifically, as well as some number of local artists. You probably remember, I don't. But so it hangs together really cohesively, and it feels less like a random piece of art you came across and a lot more like a neighborhood, like a planned and intentional experience.
So Kerry, check your messages. One thing I was going to say is that the genesis to this particular show was I saw on the Salem, Massachusetts subreddit, someone said, hey, I want to go somewhere to do portrait photos, and where's a cool place to go that's just not the same old in Salem? And somebody said The Point. And I said, oh, cool. So I start looking it up, and there's some really interesting details about it, which I won't cover. I don't know. I think we'll talk about it after, because I find it really interesting what we discovered in this experience of The Point. So hi, Chloe. Hi, everybody, by the way. Let's take a trip over to Salem, Massachusetts, back when I had a glorious beard at The Point. So I'm standing here in an area called El Punto with The Point in Salem, Massachusetts. Kerry and I have gone to The Point, to Salem a billion times. I've never been here, and I was looking for somewhere cool to photograph, and everyone's like, have you seen the street art at The Point? We're going to cover a ton of that in this. This thing it was established in 2017 by the North Shore Community Development Coalition. The art all around this area, there's 30 world-renowned, but also 25 local artists covering a 3-block area since 2017. All of this is in still really good shape, which means that people are protecting it from local taggers and anyone who wants to kind of defile it. So this is the Red House, and it's painted by this artist named Ladanya. And what's kind of cool about this place, though, is that it is housing for previously unhoused teens transitioning out of an area where they were having a little bit more care into a place where they can kind of work on being independent. So there's 16 different studio homes here, all inside this beautiful red house. So it's like a launch pad for people working on their independence and kind of growing into who they're going to become, which just makes it even cooler. Look at this art, it's amazing. The art just really drives home some really great community feelings. I had this guy, Julio, he was walking me around showing me some of it. He was telling me that when we were looking at a picture of a bunch of guys playing dominoes out in front of Mark's Grocery, he goes, I know these guys. They're people I know. He goes, so it's not just art for art's sake, it's preserving the community. I think you should always look for stuff like this. This is a great way to play for time. It was exciting to be here. I'd never heard of this before, and I've been to Salem so many times, but all the witch stuff and everything down on Essex Street, it's really cool. But wow, the color and the vibrance here and all the street art, it's the point. If you are missing it, then you're missing the point. Noteworthy, because I thought it was, just all the vibrance. What's your take?
I like Dan Gorgon's ending. That was my take. I was like, yes.
Dan Gorgon does great editing. What a absolutely wonderful segment put together, and just captures the vibe of it. Elaine says that's fabulous for those teens. The art is so varied and so good. It's one thing, we talked about not putting this in the clip, but talking about it directly, was that somebody said that they think of the Point as a dangerous place. And some person made a post on Reddit about it saying, well, I'm a white woman, middle class and middle age, and I walk around at the Point at all different hours by myself, and I never feel that problem. I think when people are saying the word dangerous, what they kind of mean is racist. And I can maybe see why people would say what they said, but I don't think I felt safe. How did you feel? I mean, we're exactly that. We're middle-aged, middle-class white people. You didn't feel bad, did you?
Nope. So we popped by in the morning. Hope my audio levels are okay. And it was like, I want to say it was a weekday morning before work. So it's not like, or something. So it's not like it's not 2 a.m. on a weekend, I guess what I'm saying. So I don't know. I can't speak for that. But it's a Hispanic neighborhood. I think most of the residents, according to the census data, like Dominican, Puerto Rican, everyone that we saw was friendly. And you had one nice gentleman even show you around so you could see some of the street art, some of the murals. And I don't know, I felt fine. Like there's definitely little packs of people who are maybe smoking weed once in a while, which is like every neighborhood. I mean, it happens in northern Mass too, like in little tiny towns. And the occasional unhoused person and stuff, but I feel like that's common.
Felt the same way. And I thought that, Julio is a great example. So we roll up to the start of where you could start looking at stuff at the Point. And Julio's walking by, and he's got a coffee and he's got a joint, and he's just kind of walking up the street. And again, legal in Massachusetts, it's not that he can't or shouldn't. And he sees me taking a snap, and he kind of turns, he comes back again. And I know he doesn't want anything, and he was just kind of having his time. And I said, I'm really sorry to interrupt you. I want to know where the rest of this stuff is. I said, I saw one down this way. And he goes, no, that's nothing. He goes, come this way. So he walks me all the way down to where it is, and then kind of gives me the lay of the land so that then Kerry and I can go and shoot this thing. And Julio was fine. Julio was very friendly. And I think, if you're approaching people, no matter what their culture, no matter who they are, with earnest interest and whatever, and you're like, oh, this is so cool, I want to see what's going on, how are they going to react other than, wow, this is really neat. I love that this person takes interest in this place where I live. I felt, like it was a bridged opportunity to connect in. I don't know that I'd go there like on a hot summer night on a Friday at like 10 p.m. I think you're kind of asking to not have as great a time, but I think that it's not because of the people. It's just because of, the nature of energy and chemicals at those times.
First of all, we both know you're asleep by 10 p.m. on Friday night. I'm just saying. But also, Elaine says danger is amplified by your fear. So if you're open to others, I think you are safe wherever you are. I mean, certainly there would probably some parameters to put around that. But for the most part, I agree. It's about the energy that you exude. So, I mean, again, picked our time, went during the day. And um, I don't at all feel uncomfortable for what that's worth. Joanne says, super wow, color. So happy to see such a wondrous expression of community. It was really something. So it's not just any one piece of art. It's the fact that there's 3 city blocks of it and it's all different. For me, that was kind of the thing. And the red house. Oh, the red house. You should talk about that.
Red House is so beautiful. One thing I was going to say right before, there was one point in Kerry where you and I were walking down, and I went, "Look, this house is like mushed up next to this other house. There's barely 5 or so feet in the alleyway, and you look, and there's this beautiful painting like facing a wall. Like maybe if the people live in it, they could see some portion of it, but it's like this amazing art that you can't even see unless you tilt a certain way. It's like when guys have those like jackets that have nice inner linings, and you can't tell until you see just the jacket lining. The red house from Ladanya, it's kind of at one end of, or one edge of, the area of the point. We should talk history of the point for a second too. It's 16 different units inside this house, and it's for teens coming out of foster care, for instance, teens transitioning but not really quite ready to get to complete independence, and also some other people, like people with different developmental disabilities, who live there so that they can kind of get themselves out of their challenges and whatnot. And right beside that house, there's another little mural. We didn't cover it on the thing. It's "Si se puede." Is that how am I saying it right? It's "yes, you can" in Spanish. Si se puede. Si se pueda.
Sí se puede.
Perfect. Which is "yes, you can." Which I always thought of as the Obama phrase from his campaign in 2008. They made that song with will.i.am or whatever, but I think you said it was who?
You're asking me now? I don't remember now. I was looking at the history then.
Che Guevara or something like that, I think. I can't remember entirely, so that's why I threw it to you, because like, I don't know. So anyway, that was cool too. So that's right beside the red house. What I kept thinking about was that, like, I took a couple of photos just as reference of places that weren't painted up like the rest of the houses in the point. And all I thought was, so you're living in an area where it's, I'm sure your apartment's not super great. It's an affordable part of Salem. It's not the best part of Salem. It's an up and coming, Dominican culture is there, from, coming from their country and trying to make a life here in the States. And it's a launch pad where you're surrounded by art and creativity and possibility and very positive messages, which is, is painted on the walls. To me, it's fascinating. Oh, I see. So Kerry got the research. Go ahead. Tell me about it.
Oh, I was just looking it up. So the slogan was originally coined by longtime farm labor activist Dolores Huerta, who worked alongside the late Cesar Chavez. That's where "Si se puede" originated as a slogan.
So not Che Guevara, like I said, because Spanish person, a revolutionary from
He just got
Cuba.
banned. He just got banned from the point. That's it.
Thanks, YouTube. So that's that. We had a great time at the point. It was really fun. I plan to come back in the warmer weather, so we'll do another segment of some sort. And Kerry and I are working on a new show, and I always like to seed what you do in, like where we're going next, or where I'm going next. We're working on a new version of the show based on how excited we were to do the Lord Timothy Dexter and what's her name, the witch, Elizabeth Morris. And there are gazillions of Pokestops that we can use to tell stories in the point and some other areas. So look for that.
So Elizabeth Moore's The Witch of Newbury. And that segment, that story stayed with me for a while after. There's times you hear something, you go, cool, and then move on kind of the next thing. But some of them really stick with you and you think about it. And I found myself thinking about what would it be like to be on house arrest for 10 years? Like the last 10 years of your life, you can't go anywhere except for church. And then you have to be like accompanied, like you're a danger to society is so absurd to me. Anyway, so stories like that stick with me. Those are the ones that you can look forward to more of. I did want to mention about the Point and the Red House in particular. My parents took foster kids in for years for starting when I was about 16. And so I had thought that it would be really valuable to have kind of a launch pad for kids transitioning out of foster care. Some of them, they can't ever go home and be reunited with their families. And that's kind of what that's exactly what the Red House is. So a way to give these young people a start in life and give them a greater chance of success. So I was so happy to find it.
It was really cool. I do look forward to going back and taking a look around. I want to meet some people there. I want to get some street portraits. I want to get, some more of the vibrance. Speaking of vibrance, there is a trick I'm going to let you in on for photographers, and it's one you could use yourself. When you are thinking a lot of your photos, you're taking look humdrum and boring and drab, there's a cheat. There's a cheat you can do that makes it a lot better, and it's called the golden hour. Golden hour is the first hour after sunrise. It is the last hour before sunset. And I went out and I captured a little bit of the sun this morning to talk to you about that. Every photographer has a cheat code, and it's called the golden hour. And it's the half hour to an hour right after sunrise and the half hour to an hour right before sunset. And when you come out and you take your photos at this point, you have all this beautiful light, and it makes everything all buttery gold, thus called the golden hour. It's a cheat code, and it's really addictive. When I'm not feeling super motivated, I come out at golden hour. The other thing is, it means I have to choose to get up right after sunrise, which is kind of early. But I think that's the beauty in it. So another way that I play for time is I convince myself to get up and move, because I will get to celebrate all this beauty and I will have something to show for it afterwards. Kind of anything you take a photo of during the golden hour comes out beautiful. It's always feels a little more meaningful than it is. It feels like you could tell stories with it, because like when you watch a movie, they light it very specifically for the scenes that they're showing. When I am out here, I am showing you the golden hour. I'm showing you what's real in this moment. And I think that there's something pretty nice about that. I gotta go get this bird over here. You somebody. So yeah, I got the bird. I got a picture of a loon taking off, and it's pretty cool. So that's just a little behind the scenes for one other thing that I do to play for time is I get out in, right after sunrise and get my bippy out there and stand around in gooey marshes taking photos of sun and whatnot.
We're like spy versus spy with our banner comments.
Elaine, back on Salem, said, I met an Irish witch in Salem in the mid-90s. She was amazing and made me a very bespoke perfume oil for me. Joanne says, that sequence on LI was amazing.
Nope, you go ahead. So I have been watching your photography develop, if you'll excuse the pun, and wondering, are you going to use the golden hour cheat forever? Or is there a point at which you're like, I can take good enough photos any old time of day?
I do tend now to push myself to do it at different times, but I get really uh, disappointed, I guess is not the really right word, discouraged. I go out and I look, and sometimes it's just such flat light, especially like it's been raining so much. It's practically the UK over here, and it's been raining so much. And so to try to get something, I run into it. I definitely, as it gets warmer, I will be able to probably take some slightly better, like warm weather photos of more people because the people will fill the color. It's when I'm trying to take scenes that I need something to be there, or I'll run into a challenge. Because I think that when I'm left on my own devices just to take location type shots, let's say, it might be a challenge because it's just not necessarily the the best possible lighting or any sort of a deal like that. So I guess that's how it works. I'm sort of stalling a tiny bit because I was looking to find I made a post recently where I took some photos of a couple of classic cars. Here we go. I knew I'd be able to find it. So I'm going to post those for just a quick second because those are not in the golden hour, and you can let it come up. Present. See? So that's not in the golden hour. And that's a nice photo. And it made people think of stuff. People reacted to the Mustang. They reacted to the Coke dispenser in the background. So, but if you look at the lighting as such, it's just not super interesting. I mean, I have to really pump some effort to make them look a certain way. So that's kind of why. It's not that, you have to use the golden hour. It just definitely makes a change of things.
And you're an early riser anyway, so I guess it's a small sacrifice.
I am. So I think we did it. I think we did all the stuff that we wanted to do on the show today. So I'll play the ending that you wanted me to play at the beginning, and we can get on out of here. See you next week, everybody.